In 1969, a group of astronauts changed the world. They walked on the moon.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
In 1972, our journey ended. We've never been back. 2010 begins a year of change. Private companies are working on next-generation spaceships. Governments are looking to go back to the moon and on to Mars. It's time to look up and dream again. It's time to push humans into the cosmos. It's time to educate and engage the planet. It's time for Spacevidcast.
Welcome to Spacevidcast 303 for January 22nd, 2010.
You remembered. I didn't think you would.
2010. My name is Benjamin Higginbotham. With me is the beautiful, lovely, wonderful, and talented Carrie Ann Higginbotham, and we have got an action-packed episode for you tonight. We've got Doug Messier from ParabolicArc, who will be joining us after the break to talk a little bit about the future of human spaceflight, just human spaceflight, next-gen space, Space 2.0, what am I trying to say? NewSpace, that's the word I was looking for. This bodes to be a really good show.
And all of the above.
And everything in between. Before we get into space news, I did want to do a couple of different things. First, in yesterday's daily, I talked about how the space shuttle was getting, the prices are slashed, and we had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, most of the information was wrong, so I'm going to correct a good chunk of it right here, right now. A couple things to make note of that we didn't cover. You do have to be a museum in order to get a space shuttle.
I thought a school could as well.
An education institution, I believe, like
right.
in a museum, but it also has to be like in an indoor, environmentally sound facility. So It's not like you can just be a multi-billionaire and just buy a space shuttle if you wanted to.
Yeah, John Travolta is not parking this thing in his driveway.
Yep. The reason the price was slashed was not because the price of the safing went down, but because they're including they are absorbing the cost of the safing.
Right.
The SSMEs are not included. However, they are available for free as kits, not an actual SSME, but an SSME kit that you can then get. But not necessarily with it. They might let someone get 3 kits just so you could have the butt of the orbiter looking correctly. I don't know. I don't know what they would allow there. So anyhow, point is, we did get some of the information wrong. We try not to do that, but when we do, we obviously want to.
Which is really funny because we got a lot of our information from the Associated Press article.
Which was wrong.
They got it wrong.
It was wrong.
Normally AP is really good about that kind of stuff, but this particular time, well, no.
No, I made the new mistake, which is I trusted the other press entities, and I know better than to do that because I know they didn't fact check, and they also said something along the lines of no one expressed interest in the SSMEs, and that wasn't true either. So, yeah, my apologies, guys. Spacevidcast fail on that particular episode. I understand. I know.
So glad I didn't write that one.
Oh, I did. Oh, that's the worst part. I wrote it. I produced it. I shot it. I was in it.
So glad I wasn't even there for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Painful on my part. So my apologies, guys. We're better than that. I don't know why we did that, but we'll make sure that doesn't happen again. Just a couple other things I do want to, of course, we didn't thank them last week, but I want to once again thank Ustream for taking care of Spacevidcast. They allow us to broadcast in high definition, and very shortly on our mobile channel, if you go to Spacevidcast on your iPhone or iPod Touch or iDevice, maybe the new Apple tablet when it comes out, when it's announced in a week. Ooh, I'm excited for that.
You don't know that for sure.
I don't know that for sure.
Stuff like that.
You will actually be able to get live streaming, including this show. We're running a test of it tonight on your iPhone. So that's really freaking cool. I'm excited for that. The one thing you won't be able to get are high definition launches. I haven't figured out how to do that yet, but other than that, this show, everything else, all made available through Ustream, and those guys are awesome. And I just, anytime we do conferences, anytime we do anything, if you guys are working on something and you're like, what provider should I use? Definitely use Ustream. Hands down, best on the planet.
Well, and the best part was like, hey guys, we want to do this, and you think you can do that? And they were like, dunno. Maybe.
Let's make it work. And
Let's
they
see
did.
if we can. So yeah, they've just been really incredible.
You know, and we are trying to go, as they're mentioning in the chat room, we're trying to go to as many conferences as we can, but we're not going to be able to make it to all of them. So if you're going to a conference that spacevidcast.at, I mean, we would love to work with you. If you stream it on Ustream, we can actually reabsorb your stream and put it on Spacevidcast so that you can take advantage of the user base that we've already got, the great community of people we've already got on Spacevidcast, and get it, actually get it out to the world at the same time. So if you're doing that, email us, Benjamin or Carrie-Ann at spacevidcast.com. And on that news, I think we should start. I shouldn't have said on that news.
On that nose is what I heard.
On that note.
On that nose.
We should start with some space news.
Space news.
Space news.
Of course, yeah, well, now my nose itches. Oh, it's terrible.
Florida Airport gets a spaceport license. That's our first news item today. This is interesting because Spaceport America is not done yet, and that's in New Mexico.
Right.
And Spaceport America is the home of Virgin Galactic.
Right.
So this new spaceport license that was given to Jacksonville's Cecil, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, C-E-C-I-L, Cecil Field.
I'm sure it's Cecil.
Sure, whatever. They've got their license to become a spaceport. There are a couple of restrictions that come with said license, though. It's not like they can just launch any space-bearing vehicle.
Right.
First, the vehicle has to launch or take off with jets. So you can't launch with a rocket on the ground. Oh. So it's going to have to be a horizontal takeoff with jets, and then they can't light the rocket until they're over the ocean, I think. They're over the Atlantic.
Wow.
Yep. So right now, that pretty much restricts them to Virgin Galactic. Right, because they got White Knight 2.
Right. But
I
Virgin
don't
Galactic's
think Virgin
home
Galactic
base is in New Mexico.
Exactly. So I'm not sure how that's going to work out. They said that they're working with 2 potential companies for launches as early as 2011. But who? Because Virgin Galactic, I don't think.
Well, they said 2 potential companies. They didn't say we're potentially working with 2 companies.
That's true. But
So 2 potential companies. So companies that maybe don't exist yet.
oh, no, I don't know.
I'm kidding.
I was thinking X-Core, right? But
Right.
the Lynx Mark II, it's going to start with a rocket.
Does it have to?
I don't think there are any jet engines on the Lynx. The designs, right? So I don't think it's going to be a Lynx. I don't think it's going to be anything from Armadillo or Maston.
Right.
I don't know who the second company is. So I'm trying to figure out, so the getting a license is pretty cool, but when they mention that second company, who are they? Exactly, secret companies. Who's
secret companies?
Cool, huh? So eventually they can potentially modify the license so that they can launch with a rocket while they're on the ground and actually turn it into a horizontal launch, possibly even a vertical launch. But those are different licenses that have not been issued to them yet.
Right.
And so that's available possibly in the future, but it's a new industry and they're kind of scared and they don't want to have this going up overpopulated areas. For good reasons. It took them 4 years to get the license, though. So this has been in the works for a while.
You know what? And they better come up with a good name because honestly, Spaceport America is the coolest name. So I don't know what you're going to do.
Well, because we have Mall of America.
Mall of
so
America
we're all
right around the corner.
They should have Spaceport America and Mall of America right next to each other. And Spaceport America could fly. You could fly in from Europe or something, go up into.
We have an international airport right there.
Yeah, but we don't have an international spaceport. We need an international spaceport.
Whatever.
Your turn.
Yeah, good. So Yuri's Night. I know we talked about this last year. We actually were at a Yuri's Night last year. We were on, how long was that? That was like an 8-hour broadcast.
It was a
or something.
long broadcast.
It was a really long broadcast. Yes, Yuri's Night. A lot of you guys in the chat room I know are familiar with this. So it's, in case you are not familiar with this, Yuri's Night is the celebration of Yuri Gagarin, who was the first human in space, went up on April 12th, 1961.
Think about that for a moment. That is a long time ago.
1961,
Wow.
I know, right? And then it also just happens to be the anniversary of the very first space shuttle, STS-1, went up April 12th, 1981.
Dum, dum, dum.
So it's a big, huge space-faring, space society, anyone who likes space kind of stuff celebration, and it's worldwide. It's even on
they had some people on the International Space Station celebrating, so
Right.
it's galactic wide.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's galactic wide.
Galacta-wide.
Well, I know for a while they were doing it in Second Life as well. So it was like 2 worlds and one, whatever. Anyway, but the point is that it's 2010, and I believe, if I'm correct, it is also the 10th Yuri's Night.
Oh, that I have no idea on.
I'm pretty sure. But so, in any way, to get people really, really jazzed up about this, because it is 2010 and, you know, Yuri's Night is just cool anyway, Yuri's has started to put out these little vidcasts.
I actually downloaded one if you want to see a couple
Oh, did you
minutes of it.
really?
Absolutely.
Oh, awesome.
Check this out. Here's just a quick little snippet of one of the vidcasts you can get on Yuri's Night.
Oh, hello. I didn't see you come in. My name is Joe Tanner. I'm a senior instructor at the University of Colorado in Boulder in the Aerospace Engineering Sciences Department. I've been here about a year and a half, but before that I spent 24 years at NASA, 8 years as an instructor pilot and research pilot, and 16 years as an astronaut. I've flown in space 4 times, done 7 EVAs or spacewalks, and spent more than 1,000 hours in space. It's my pleasure to be with you here today as we toast.
So yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to. We're not gonna show the whole thing. It's like 10 minutes.
Well, right. I mean, there are a couple of them that are just a couple of seconds, and then there's a couple of them that are a few minutes. I don't think any of them even reach 20 minutes. So they're pretty bite-sized. You can ingest them, and they're doing toasts to the forefathers of space, if you want to say it that way.
And you know, he was in, like, you heard his credentials, right? So I mean, that's just impressive stuff.
Yeah, I mean, EVAs and I mean the whole 9. And so it's really cool, and it's actually done by a friend of mine from Twitter. I have a Twitter friend. It's Rye in Space.
A twend.
A twend? No.
You've got a twend.
Rye in Space, who actually is based in Colorado, and he's head of a lot of the publicity that goes on with Yuri's Night Global and all that other fun stuff. So he's doing a lot of these videos, and I think they're really cute and they're interesting, and it's a really great way to sort of keep up on Yuri's Night and space stuff like that in little chunks, you know, other than our dailies. You know, you guys are always clamoring for more space
You
stuff.
are.
So
Although our
there
dailies,
you go.
with the exception of when I get them completely wrong, are great sources of space news.
You can get those through iTunes or yurisnight.net.
Phoenix is probably dead. You know, we reported a little while ago that they're going to try to get communications restored with the Phoenix lander, which is on Mars, and it's been on Mars for quite a while. It was supposed to last for 90 days. They were able to get it to last a little bit longer, and then the Martian winter hit, and they assumed it would die. And then they thought, well, maybe we can get it back. Maybe we can get it back.
Maybe we can breathe some life.
No.
Not so much.
The orbiter, the Odyssey orbiter, has flown overhead quite a while, and the way this works is Odyssey actually communicates with the lander. So the lander communicates with Odyssey, and the Odyssey back to the lander, and then Odyssey communicates back to Earth. And so you can see a quick little animation of how all that works. So Odyssey's been flying overhead, attempting to reestablish communications with the Phoenix lander. It's done this 11 times as of January 19th and 20th, and alas, not a peep from the lander. Of course, that was expected. They're going to continue to try to get communications restored. They've got 19 more listening overflight attempts planned this week alone, and then they've got additional attempts in February and March. But frankly, Phoenix was never designed to survive the Martian winter,
Right.
and I don't know. At this point, if we haven't heard from it,
Yeah.
you never...
Well, I mean, Phoenix has done a really good job anyway.
But I'm going to make a prediction. If Phoenix does go bing, send out a little Sputnik like pong, I guarantee you one of the major outlets, either AP, NBC, whomever, one of the major news outlets, the headline will be
Yes.
Phoenix rises from the ashes.
Again.
Again. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
That will be the headline.
That's great.
I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to jump down to this one because it's kind of cool, and there's not a whole lot of information on it, and then we're going to go to break, which is China is building a space lab. This is not new information. However, it sounds like we might be getting somewhat close to an actual launch of this space station.
Again, not just graphics, but actual physical.
Right, and we actually have video now of an actual space station. It's called, and I'm going to, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this stuff correctly.
It's a Shenzhen, no? Or no, it's bigger than the Shenzhen.
It's Tingong 1. Tingong 1, I think, is what this is called, and that's a shot of it right there, I believe. And it is China's first space lab. It's not very big. It's only pretty much as large as their Shenzhou spacecraft. So it's You know, it can only hold a couple of people, not for very long, so it's nothing like the International Space Station, but it is their first attempt at actually building an orbital lab. And it's using a Russian docking system. We don't know a whole lot about it other than there's some sort of device pointing to the front of it. It looks like it could be like a telescope, maybe putting a camera on it, pointing back down towards Earth. And we think it could be launching as early as this year, possibly next year. Well, now, because they're not,
exciting.
Yeah, it is. Because they don't have to follow any launch schedules trying to get onto another planet like Mars, we've got a very finite window.
Right.
You know, they could launch it whenever they want, right? They can take their time to make sure they get it right. So, you know, they'll launch when they launch. But yeah, I mean, that's actually going. The point of this whole story is, though, that there are other countries actually doing this stuff. This isn't just us talking about it. They're actually making product.
Right.
And I think that's a big deal that these other countries are making things. India's about to make its own first cryogenic engine, not relying on Russian technology. China now has their own space station they're going to be throwing up there moderately soon, you know, whenever.
Yeah,
so,
well, within the next couple of years is soon, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, so this really is the tipping point year. When we come back, we've got Douglas Messier. I was like, Millette, no, that's wrong.
The other Douglas.
The other Douglas.
Oh, that's terrible.
Joining us, talking live. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Once upon a time, a special few dinosaurs were given a gift. Something that set them apart from everyone else. Flying. If dinosaurs could speak, the orthodox among them would have dismissed the entire notion. Big deal, they would have told themselves. There's nothing up there but empty space. Every good thing in your life is here on the Earth. Food, shelter, company, not to mention greenery. Up there is absolutely nothing. But a strange thing happened. The dinosaurs on the ground died out 65 million years ago. And the ones with the gift of flight, the ones who pioneered the empty space above their heads, well, they're called birds. What's more, there are twice as many species of birds as ground-walking mammals, meaning the flyers have found twice as many ways of making a living in the sky. And flyers, be they birds or flying mammals, live longer than groundlings. Is nature trying to tell us something? Is there another empty space waiting for the flyers among us? Come to the National Space Society's International Space Development Conference in Chicago, May 2010, and wave the other dinosaurs goodbye. Bring space to life by bringing life to space.
Welcome back. We've got to figure out who did that video.
Oh, I know. I have his email address.
You
We
do?
had to get permission to air it.
Oh.
Bringing space to life and life to space.
Yeah.
Best line ever. I wish that was our slogan.
In the
ours
chat
slogan.
room, they are asking ISTC 2010 is in Chicago. Yeah, and we're in Minneapolis, so I'm hoping
Easy drive.
to get down there.
Easy drive.
And actually, our first ISDC that we went to was just in 2009, which was in Florida, which is where we met our guests. Right?
Nice segue. Look
Thank
at
you. Douglas Messier from
Hey.
ParabolicArc.com. Douglas, you
Hi.
still with me?
Yes, I am. How are
Hey.
you doing?
How are you?
I'm fine.
Good. I appreciate you coming on tonight.
Pleasure to be here.
And, you know, I know that we met at ISDC, I keep saying 29 in my head.
209?
Yes. No, but 29
2009.
for some reason.
29.
Like, because I got
In
2010.
Orlando.
Right. But we didn't get a really good chance to talk a whole lot. And so I know I've been following Parabolic Arc since then. But how did you get started in all of this stuff? What made you a space geek?
Well, I guess when I was a kid, it was interesting to watch the space program at that time, and about 2 years ago, decided to start a blog. And space tourism was the up-and-coming thing, and it seemed to have a niche there that not a lot of people were following it closely. So it's been a good experience the last couple of years to cover that. And there's just more and more every day. I started out and there were a few posts, a handful of posts a week, but now there's so much activity in it. It's interesting.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
That's actually. Oh, go ahead.
And my background, I'm ISU alumnus from summer session. Also went through the Science, Technology, and Public Policy program at GW. So I studied under John Logston. And also a partner in Space Jobs. So
nice.
I've been sort of in and out of this field all for the last 10 years or so.
Wow. That makes you way more qualified than us.
Oh, I have no idea what I'm doing.
No.
We started this about 2 years ago as well, and kind of had the same kind of idea that human spaceflight, obviously for us, human spaceflight was kind of like that niche a little bit that we sort of wanted to get into, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and it's a great niche to be in right now. It's just it's working, and there's so much going on with commercial, not only to orbit but suborbital, and there's just a lot of things happening.
That's so cool. I love. It's so interesting, and it's one of those things where I wasn't sure that I would be interested, I suppose, if that makes any sense. And I'm now glad. Thank you, honey, for pulling me along. Okay, so you've been in and out of the space industry for about 10 years, and then you started this blog about 2 years ago. Where are you seeing this going? I mean, is it just going to stay a blog, or are you going to use it as Ben likes to use ours, as a soapbox of sorts, or what are you thinking with that?
I'm not really a soapbox kind of person. I used to be and had a lot of opinions, which I expressed to others and probably annoyed them with. But with ParabolicArc, I'm trying to avoid being too on one side or the other, or having too many opinions. Because the more you learn in this business, the more you learn how much you don't know. So I'm trying to keep ParabolicArc as a place where you can go and get the latest information from the best sources without a whole lot of opinion from me. And as far as where the blog's going to go, whether I'm going to make it a bigger blog or expand it, that remains to be seen. Right now, I'm just doing it part-time, and I'm doing work. I live in Silicon Valley, so I'm working with a startup right now, or helping out a startup in software.
Nice. So
and
if
I
you're
had
in
previously
Silicon Valley. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I had previously worked for Yahoo for about 5 years, and as an analyst. So the analytical experience at Yahoo is very good because I can kind of look at something and determine whether it's newsworthy, whether it's credible, whether it's not believable.
Right.
And so that helps a lot with that.
Yeah.
The chat room is totally agreeing with you. Vax Headroom said, you're absolutely right, there's an infinite amount of information to know about space, and being that space in it of itself is infinite as well.
That's a good play
You're
on words,
right.
Vax.
I mean, there's, yeah, well played, Vax. There's no way to know all of it. You never will.
Yeah, not only on the science part, but also all the politics. And as the longer I've been kind of following this, the more I begin to question my own assumptions about things. Things that I believed 5 years ago about space, I don't necessarily believe now, just because you learn more as you go.
Is there anything in particular that stands out to you?
In terms of, I've been totally sold on the commercial aspect of things, and begun to see that the way NASA has been doing things, the way things have been done, have not always been the most productive way of doing things, or the cheapest way of doing things, or the best way to get us out into space. So I've come around on that, but I still remain very skeptical that some of these ventures will succeed. I mean, it's a startup. A lot of these are startups, and if you've ever been with a startup, you know how difficult that is to get going. and I'm involved in one now. I've been involved in several before. So I tend to take some of the issues, some of the claims being made by NewSpace, somewhat more skeptically than maybe some others would. But then I'm willing to be convinced.
Right. Kind of like what was that one that we looked at and we were confused by? Galactic Suite?
That's the one. Galactic Suite. Yep.
Have you heard about them?
I have. I've written about them. I have no idea how serious that is right now.
Well,
they claim to have a mysterious backer who's going to fund them. But I'm not sure what technology they're using. I'm not sure how they're going to get up there.
Railgun. I'm serious. Their plan is basically
It's hard.
It's like a railgun, right? They're gonna railgun you up, and then you've got a rocket that brings you the rest of the way. It's not a railgun, right? Because a railgun would kill you with inertia. Right. But it's basically like this maglev giant thing that maglev you to get your inertia going, and then it's a rocket.
Come off of that sort of runway, if you will. They rocket you all the way up.
And we're going to play a fun game of getting Douglas back. we just got him in there, as they're mentioning in the chat room, a lot like Star Walker, the show that we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago.
I think it was 2 weeks ago, because I don't think we messed with Flying Jenny with Star Walker.
You can't completely dismiss it. Well, we haven't been able to completely dismiss it.
Right.
But it just seems fishy. It's like, tech doesn't work that way.
Wait, didn't you get an acceptance letter from them?
Oh yeah, that's the other fun thing. So for anyone who signed up for Skywalker, if you actually registered, every single person who's registering, at least that we've been able to find out, gets the exact same form acceptance letter that's just time delayed. So you...
Because I think Arma got one.
Yeah,
right?
I got one.
And no offense to Arma, but
But seriously, Arma.
Stop. But I mean, it's not like there's background checks or like a ping pong back and forth of, hey, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself and why you think you'd be qualified for this? It's like, hi, this is my name and this is my email address, and therefore now you're accepted, kind of thing. And I think Tim got one. Somebody else, yeah. And
Tim was the first one to get one.
That's right. So, yeah, we've been getting a couple of emails from people going, hey, guess what? Me too. And we're like, yeah, I know, us too. Isn't that awesome?
Hello.
You should have at least a shirt or something, though.
Hey, so Douglas, we'll catch you up. We're actually talking about the similarities between the Galactic Suite and Skywalker, or Star Walker, excuse me, the game.
This is Star Walker.
Yep, yeah. Absolutely. And we're kind of in the, it feels fishy stance. What's your opinion on Star Walker?
Skywalker seems fishy. Originally, I'm about the only one who, I guess, has covered it much other than you guys. But it was originally this idea that 3 ISU alumni who were here at Ames this summer had, and they sent me a kind of press release about it, so I ran with it. And then when I talked to them about 2 weeks later, they had all dropped out of the program, had dropped out, but this was continuing under these guys in Australia, Jonathan Nolan and Greg Smith. And I don't think, I'm not sure if it's a scam, but it doesn't seem very credible to me.
Well, keep in mind, they are taking money from people. It's
every time you text in to see if you're qualified or put your name in a hat, I suppose, they are charging you for that, which I thought was interesting.
Yep.
They're making money off that. Nolan is a disbarred lawyer. He was disbarred by the Northern Territory of Australia for 3 counts of embezzlement.
Oh.
He had been in charge of a trust fund, and he had apparently misappropriated money from there 3 times. And he's a bit of a conspiracy nut. He's done a movie about 9/11. I think his company also published a book about 9/11 that said it was an act of nuclear terrorism. And that got him and Greg Smith embroiled in a lawsuit with a company down in Australia because people were questioning that, and it became a law. They've sued him for about $42 million, the owner of this website. Nice. So quite a tangled tale.
Yeah, it just seems too weird to be real.
Yeah. And they don't seem to have any production experience on the international level, and they've claimed they have $100 million in the bank for this, but with sponsors they won't talk about. And
tickets to board a Soyuz capsule,
well,
which
who've said that
it
they're not
wasn't-
taking anybody up, right?
No, well, they actually, I saw a video interview on one of the morning shows in Australia with Nolan, and Nolan said that he had 4 potential providers for this space flight. So,
Interesting.
well, can we name 4?
China, Russia.
Maybe Excalibur Almaz, maybe Bigelow. There's a lot of potential for orbital right now. There's there's SpaceX. They want to do a human rated version of Dragon. So
Yeah, but no matter what the case, if he's got 4 potentials, that's not 2010 or 2010. That's at least 2012. I mean,
Yeah, I
Virgin's
think-
not going up till then. You're not going to have a human rated version of Dragon till then. I mean,
Right.
there's just no in 2010. What 4 if he were to launch this year, what 4 providers could he use? What one provider could he use?
I don't think they're going to launch this year. I think they're talking about 2011, 2012.
Okay,
They would
well-
film the reality show this year.
Okay, so then if they're launching 2012, that's a little bit different because then you've got Virgin, potentially Russia again in 2012.
Right.
You could potentially have SpaceX,
Right.
and and actually X-Core could be a 4th one in 2012 as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The Lynx Mark II.
Yeah. There's a lot of potential. There's a lot of real cool stuff. Blue Origin as well. Blue Origin seems to want to do a suborbital with astronauts on board. So
I had not heard that.
Yeah, no,
Uh-huh.
what's that story?
Blue Origin is this company, a very mysterious company that is run by Jeff Bezos, and they're basically taking an idea of sort of a. It's a weird kind of design that they had tested before, and they'll have astronauts and also experiment racks on it. And they recently accepted their first experiments to fly there, and I think they're looking at a 2012 flight. But they're very mysterious. They haven't released very much about it. If you look at the website, it looks like a Web 1.0 site.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
It's done by Bezos, and Bezos is the guy
Amazon.
behind Amazon. So they're purposely being very
No, you know what it
quiet
is?
about it.
The website is Kindle friendly. That's what it is.
Oh yeah.
So you can get it on your Kindle. That's why.
I don't know. That logo's not very Kindle friendly. It's like
We've got Alan Stern is involved, who used to be the AA for science, space science at NASA, and he left NASA under Griffin. And sort of I think part of the problem was that there were overruns on the Mars program. But he's a very serious scientist, and he's heading up their efforts at doing the suborbital science.
interesting.
So
Well,
Blue Origin is a potential one, X-Core, Virgin Galactic, SpaceX. So all sorts of things that are going to be coming up in the next couple of years. Be
That's
very exciting.
Cool. If anything, if anyone in the chat room is interested in an internship with Blue Origin, apparently the deadline application date is January 31st of 2010.
Which is one day after my birthday. I expect presents, everyone.
Right, but that would be very interesting. It's supposed to be for June through August of 2010, and that would be interesting to see.
Here's the thing with NewSpace, though, and this is at least my opinion, is there are a bunch of crazies out there who just claim the world, the galaxy, that they can do everything. But one of them, it just takes one to be correct. It just takes that one crazy company who actually could completely and totally change the world.
This says students must be United States citizens, permanent residents, refugees, or asylees. Like those are the part of the requirements. That's
Cool.
kind of okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I had there was a ISU student who was here last summer who had interned there, and I was talking to him, and he seemed to have a very good experience with that. So, and it seems to be a company very much on the cutting edge of stuff. So I would recommend it to make an application, see if it works.
Awesome. People in the chat room are asking about if they're hiring, and it doesn't say anything on their website. Again, their website is very, very bare bones. There's maybe 5 pictures on the entire thing, but yeah, at the top there's a tag for internships. Obviously I don't know a whole lot about them, so it's not like I'm trying to pander to them in any way, but yeah, that would be interesting to kind of see what that's all about.
The other company that's hiring right now is Bigelow, which is located outside of Las Vegas, and they're beginning to actually produce, they've got 2 prototype modules up in space now that are unmanned, but they're actually starting to ramp up on production of an actual space station, and that'll be very exciting if that goes. I think one of the key things that needs to happen is that Bob Bigelow needs transportation to orbit, and I think he's hoping that SpaceX will succeed. That seems to be his main interest, and he said that he doesn't want to deal with Russia, not because they had a bad experience in Russia, but they had launched the prototype stations there, and they had a bad experience in getting exported, the technology exported to Russia due to the export restrictions under ITAR. So he's looking at a domestic provider, and I think he's hoping that SpaceX, which is supposed to fly later this year, I think in March or April, will succeed with its Falcon 9.
Well, they're only 3 months away.
Yeah, hopefully.
They're ever only 3 months away. Isn't that the joke?
That's the perpetual joke. SpaceX keeps saying we're 3 months out, we're 3 months out, we're 3 months out.
The same thing with suborbital tourism. It's been perpetually 18 to 24 months away. Yeah. And it probably still is.
Yep. Although, the thing is, you look at both of these companies. Well, I'm assuming you're referring to Virgin Galactic.
Yes.
They have product. Okay. It's not like they're not building anything. It's not like they're moving forward. They're doing stuff. It's just funny because it keeps getting delayed over and over and over and over and over again.
Right.
Eventually they'll fly, though.
I think the big thing with Virgin Galactic will be the engine. If you look at the original Spaceship One, it was about the size of the X-1, and basically it had lighter materials, and it had a more powerful engine, so it could go suborbital instead of just going Mach 1. Now with basically Spaceship Two is a business jet. It's the size of a business jet, so it's about 3 times larger, I think, and it's got internal cabin where you can float around in, and the original one just had 3 seats in a very cramped cabin. Mm-hmm. So the engine, they've had an engine test last year, which they unveiled at the Space Development Conference. They had video of that. I'm not sure where they are on that. And if you recall, a couple of years ago, they had an explosion of the nitrous oxide tank that exploded in Mojave and killed 3 Scale Composites employee and injured 3 other ones. And I think that really put him back, because that froze development of Spaceship Two for a year. Burt Rutan said this a year later, that it had been frozen. And I think if I start seeing engine tests and they start on a schedule for that, then I'll be more confident that they're going to be flying in 18 months to 2 years.
Nice.
So what's the end game in NewSpace? Where do we go?
The end game, that depends upon what in NewSpace we're talking about. I think the suborbital will grow. There's like 3 companies. There's XCore, Blue Origin, and Virgin Galactic. You've got SpaceX, and you also have Orbital Sciences, which is developing its own freighter to ISS. So there's some really interesting options for both suborbital and orbital that'll be coming up. And Orbital Sciences is supposed to fly its first Taurus 2 rocket next spring. They're hoping for. But I'm not sure what you're looking for in terms of end game. I mean.
Oh, there was no right answer. I'm curious as to.
You might have put that up front.
I wasn't leading you anywhere. I was just curious as to where you thought this was all going.
Are you trying to shove Doug onto his soapbox?
Get on your soapbox now.
You were wondering what other company they were looking for Cecil Field? It's Cecil, not Cecil.
Oh.
I think it's Cecil.
And you know what? And the sad thing is, if I ever do a daily, I'm still going to mispronounce it. I'm terrible with the pronunciation.
I know.
I really am.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Oh well.
The other company is Rocketplane. And Rocketplane's interested in potentially flying out of Florida, Hawaii. They've been talking to, and also they're still interested in flying out of Oklahoma if Oklahoma will have them back.
I've heard of them before. Are they part of the Rocket Racing League, or are they something else?
No, they're a separate company, and they were developing a business-style jet that would fly suborbital, very similar to X-Corps or Virgin Galactic, go up 70 miles or so. They'd been operating out of Oklahoma. There was an old Air Force base that was decommissioned, and last year they've run into big problems with funding. So they need over $100 million to get from their kind of design to get to a first flight. And they just haven't had the money. So they pulled out of Oklahoma early last year, I believe, and are now kind of operating out of, I think, Wisconsin, if I remember correctly. One of their board members is their president. I forget who it is.
We're close to Wisconsin.
Yeah, the only downside of that is the Packers.
But I talked to somebody who had looked into investing and had, they'd sent somebody out there to Oklahoma to look into their technology, and they said it was a pretty serious plan. One of the problems they had was they kept kind of changing the design, and then they ran into, the economic downturn. And a part of this company had a contract. They had the original COTS contract that, along with SpaceX, they had a rocket plane, or a rocket plane Kistler it was.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was kind of a related company, and they couldn't raise the money, the private funding to continue with that program, so NASA cut them off and rebid it for, and Orbital Sciences ended up with the other COTS contract. And the COTS program is the NASA-funded effort to create a private freighter to go to ISS. So SpaceX is developing its Dragon spacecraft and the Falcon 9, and originally Rocketplane Kistler had the other contract for that. So
I knew the back half of that story. I knew that Orbital and SpaceX had it. I didn't know that.
That's as far as I know.
Yeah, and they, this COTS is a private public partnership, so they had to raise a certain amount of money to on their end, and they weren't able to do that. But I think the companies combined, and now it's called Rocketplane Global. And they, you see Chuck Lauer, who's their kind of business guy, at a lot of conferences, and he's still pretty confident they're going to find money somehow to do that. And there was a story last year. They're actually selling tickets, or reservations at least, through a discount supermarket in Austria. So you can
want to go to space? Well, let's see here. I need some milk.
Along with your cut rate bratwurst, you can
some cereal, some space tickets.
Money for Space Vision. So this was on the website as well, and it just kind of surprised me. But they're still looking for funding, and if they do find it, they may be okay. But
the supermarket thing didn't pan out for them. They're still looking for funding.
I don't know how many tickets they've sold through that, but it's
no
an interesting
way Austria, but that's just like not the first thing I think of when I think of space.
Oh man, I just, where can I go to get some space? I need a flight to space. Oh, my local supermarket. That's where I'll go. I need that and some eggs.
Yeah.
Don't forget the butter. Okay, sorry.
Well, we're running out of time, so I'm going to wrap this up right now. Douglas, stay with us. We're going to come back to you in post-show. And for those of you who are asking about Epic, I was going to release it tonight, actually. That's how close we are. However, I'm not quite ready yet. There's still a little with the merchant account. So we're very, very close. It will certainly launch in January. We'll announce it. We'll make a big announcement when it's available. And I'd like to thank everyone who's been emailing us and supporting us and saying you guys are awesome, because I do enjoy having my ego inflated. So that's
that
great.
he does, actually. We got an email that was about 5 paragraphs long, and Ben wouldn't even let me see it for about 2 days because he was just like, this is so awesome. So feel free to just stroke his ego anytime you like.
So Epic is coming. That's why the commercials still say January 2010.
Yes.
But it's coming this month, and I'm excited because it's for any of the ask any of the beta testers. It's really coming along. There's some pretty cool stuff in there, and it's pretty awesome. I also want to thank Crow River Coffee Company, who hosts us week after week. Calf has been working his butt off. There was some logistic stuff we had to take care of tonight, and he's just chomping down his dinner while hooking up equipment. I mean, it's awesome. And so you can help out Crow River Coffee Company, which helps us, by going to crowrivercoffee.com. And while you're there, buy some Blast Off Blend, because it's the official. What?
Snibble.
Snibble got some Blast Off Blend
Snibble.
today.
Of course, Snibble's not with us. Unfortunately, he's got CPR training, but I'm sure he will see this on demand. But yeah, so thank you, Snibble, for that. And I know that Uncle BS also recently bought a couple of pounds. So thank you guys for that. Appreciate it.
And it actually has it has a Seco on it with the helmet. I'm calling it Seco and not Miko. With the helmet on it, so you got the cool logo. So if you're a space geek, just put it, even if you don't drink coffee, just put it at like your console. Or
it just smells
if
good.
you work for NASA, you better be buying some Blast Off Blend. And you know what? In mission control, all right. So
we know SpaceX has bought some.
Yeah, they have. But I expect
saying.
in NASA mission control, when they got those sweeping high def cameras up in the back, I'd love to see like at the top of one of those consoles just the gold bag of Space Off
like
Blend.
a lei, or they had like little Christmas trees. Or
Colorado Mountain
Thanksgiving,
Climber. I'm just saying. If Absolute Space Girl's with us as well, I'm just saying.
I mean, we love you. You might as well love us.
Love it back. So anyhow, I do want to thank Crow River Coffee for all the help and everything that they do, and they're just fantastic hosts. We take over the entire back part of their coffee shop, so there you go. And of course, if you haven't been watching them, we do have these daily episodes, and we're trying to be just right on the money with those. So Monday, you get 3 dailies a week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 new dailies. Thursday is the live show, and Friday you get to see the live show on demand. So 5 days a week you get stuff. And coming soon, here's a little tease, I'm trying to develop a roundtable podcast where we're going to have a bunch of different people, audio only, restart the podcast section of the site, which means we'll have the article blogging section going, the video section going, the podcasting section going, all full stream. The only way to get all of that content is through Epic. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. We'll be back next week about an hour to an hour and a half later than our normal time. Watch the countdown on your screen and watch our Twitter account. I'm literally going to be landing back in Minneapolis 30 minutes prior to the show. So if the flight is delayed, or if there's anything going on, you need to watch our Twitter accounts to figure out what's going on with next week's show. My goal is not to cancel the show. We still want to do the show, but there's absolutely no way we can do it on time. Unless someone learns, if Vax Headroom or someone in the room can help me bend space-time so I can actually land and then like get backwards in time into the studio, that would be ideal. But otherwise, watch our account so you know when the show is going on. We're still going to do the show, probably an hour later than normal. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next week.